Okay, so far from up to the end of chapter 9, we have been able to add category navigation to our SportsStore system, and we built the shopping cart. So just a quick look at that. So here is the category navigation, and the shopping cart is when you add to cart, it keeps adding to the shopping cart. It shows the shopping cart. You can continue shopping, you can add more. Now, next step is on chapter 10, we're going to be completing the cart. We're going to be creating the remove button. We're going to be refining our cart model as a service. Right now, the controller for the cart is a little bit complicated, a little bit complex. We're going to simplify that. We're going to be completing the cart functionality, which includes having the remove item from the cart, and we're going to be able to submit the order. At the very end, when we are about to check out, we're going to be able to add a shipping address to say whether or not we want the product in a gift wrapping. And here's how it will look like. We're going to have a shopping cart summary at the top. We're going to be able to add to cart, which we were before, but now we have remove. We have a summary at the top that shows how many items in the cart and what is the total. We can remove items from the cart. We can continue shopping, of course. And then once we are ready to check out, when you click checkout button, you're going to be able to submit the shipping information, to mark whether or not we want gift to wrap. And when we complete the order, we have a thank you page. But if you don't fill out some of the information, you have a warning message like this. So that's what you're going to be completing next. And the first step in that process is to create a storage aware cart class. Right now, our cart controller is a little bit too complex. So let's have a look at the controller here, the cart. See, the cart is the one responsible right now to save the cart, to get the cart. All of that we should simplify to make it more independent and more reusable as well. So we're going to start by creating a new class, which we're going to call session carts. So we're going to go to models, right click there, and let's add a new class. And I'm going to call this class as session cart. This is a class that will inherit from our cart class. We're going to be creating a static method, and I'm going to call it public static, which will return a cart, and it will be called get cart. This get cart will be the method responsible to produce, to create the cart object for our session. Now, for each session, we just need one cart, so we will not be required to create multiple carts for the same session. Again, one session, one cart only. That's what this get cart method will return. Will return the current cart. So we're going to have a parameter which will be the type of iServiceProvider, and we're going to call it services. Now, services will let the method knows about all services available to this application. So we will be using the services here to get the HTTP context, and more specifically to get to the session that is in use right now. If we go and have a look at cart controller, HTTP context is already available here on our controllers. However, it's not available inside the class. That's the reason why we have to send the service so we can get access to the context and as a consequence to a session as well. So I'm going to create here a variable called session, which is a type of iSession, and we have to do an import here. So you're going to have to use ASP.NET Core HTTP here in our namespace. And we're going to also have to use the dependency injection here as well. So let's see, we can move. And there's another namespace that we need to use, Microsoft Extensions Dependency Injection. So it was added here at the top. And again, what this will do is it will give me access to the current session. Why do I need access to the current session? Well, because I'm storing the cart information in the current session. So if I need to get the cards, I need to access the session, and this is how I access the current session. Now, having the session available, I'm going to access the session cards that might be stored in the session. If it's not there, we create a new one. But if it's already there, we get that one so we can use. Remember, we just have one card per session. So I'm gonna declare a variable here called cards, which is a type session cards, and it will receive the session that we have just been able to access from here. So session dot get JSON. However, get JSON, remember, we have implemented get JSON under our infrastructure. So we have to add the namespace using SportsStore.infrastructure, and we should be good here with our get JSON. Now, get JSON will receive the type. No, we're gonna have to convert to cast to the type session cards. What is the key? The key is called cards. Remember, we are using what we have used here already. Now, instead of using cards, we are calling session cards. And so with this, if there is a card already in the session, it returns that card. However, if there's no card here, if this is null, then it returns what? It returns a new session card. So once again, if this is not null, which means that there is a session already, there's a card already in the session, it returns that card. However, in case it's null, it returns a brand new session card. Now, in our session card, we also need to store the current session, so we can have access to it when we need to add products or remove products. So I'm going to create a property, which will be a public property of the type iSession called session. And we have an auto implementation here with a get and a set, and that's it. So going back to our get cards, what we're going to do now is we're going to say our card here dot session will receive the current session here. See, we're going to store that. Now remember, get card is a method, a static method, which is just creating, it's called a factory method. Its only function is to create a new session card, to produce a new session card, or to retrieve the existing one. So again, we're going to store the session as well in this new property that we have just created here. And we're going to pass to it the current session. Now, in the end, we have to return, because this is a method and it has a return type of cards, we have to return the cards. And remember, return type is cards, and we are returning a session cards, but session cards inherits from cards, so session card is a card as well. Now here's the thing, session is a property. Whenever we serialize and deserialize a class, all properties get serialized together. In our session cards, we don't want this session to be serialized together, so we're gonna use a decoration called JSON-ignore, and we have to add a namespace called newtonsoft.json to the top here. So by doing so, when we serialize this class, this property will not be serialized together. That's why we use JSON-ignore. I'm just gonna add a quick note here to remind me why I'm using this. Now, we have to override a few methods from our cards. Which methods are those? Well, add item and remove item and clear as well. So we have to override all those three methods. Now, to be able to override them properly, I'm gonna make a small modification here to those methods on the card class. I'm gonna say that they are virtual, so I can override them properly in the session card. So virtual for the add item, virtual for the remove, sorry, for the add item, for the remove line, and for the clear as well. So we're gonna be overriding those three methods. So the first one, on add item, we're gonna be overriding it. So here's the override keywords. And what is this gonna be doing? Well, we're gonna be calling the base class and the method. You're gonna call the add item from the base, and you're gonna send the product and the quantity. Now, what else we're gonna be doing here? Well, we're gonna be saving the information, the cart information, to the session. So you're gonna be calling whatever we called here under the carts to save. We're gonna be calling something similar here. So you're gonna go back here. You're gonna call the session that we have access now, session dot, and then we're gonna set JSON. So this is the add item. So you're gonna set JSON, and then we're gonna use the same parameters here. We can use the key is cart, and the cart itself, we're gonna use this because I need to indicate that I'm saving this session. So here I had a cart as a parameter. Here I want to save the current session cards. So this refers to the current instance of the session card. So that's how we override the add item. Next, we're gonna override the remove line. So here's the override keyword again. And what this will do, very similar, we're gonna call the base dot remove line. So it does whatever cart is doing for removing the line. We're gonna send the product, and then we're gonna call session again, and we're gonna save the same JSON as we saved before, the same way as it's done here. So again, we add an item, we save the cart. We remove a line, we save the cart. Last, we take care of the clear method. So we override clear, similar again, we're gonna call the base dot clear, so it executes whatever is in the base class, and then we call session dot remove. Remove what? What is the key in the session? It's called cart. So remove cart is done. So we have done the three method overrides.